Hey guys, it's Yael here to tell you about how to plan a personal, horizontal, or vertical caving trip with ORGT. So the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is pick out your cave. And a couple of things to keep in mind are, if you're leading a trip of beginners, it might be best to pick a cave that you're very comfortable with and have been to multiple times. And if you're leading a trip with more experienced cavers who are maybe more comfortable with some different skills, or maybe if you want to try out a new cave, just make sure you get the most recent beta and talk to someone who has been there recently in case there's anything that's not on the beta or if they have anything to add. Also, when selecting a cave, make sure you take into account the number of people on the trip, and if you're taking a vertical trip out, the pit depths and the number of pits, because these things can affect the time that you're spent in the cave. All right, so one thing to just keep in mind is that we're very privileged to be able to explore caves, and most of these caves are on some sort of private or federal or state land, and so we just need to be respectful of the owners of the land and remember that we're unofficially representing Georgia Tech and we're using ORGT gear. So yeah, just act accordingly. Part of this means that we need to notify the appropriate people that we plan on going to the cave. So if the cave is on private property, sometimes you may need to notify or ask permission from the landowners. So make sure you know what to do for your cave. If the cave is on state or federal property, make sure you have the appropriate permits if applicable. And if this is an SECI cave, make sure you receive a permit and that you don't go to the cave until your permit has been approved and everyone's filled it out. And one last thing to keep in mind is that sometimes certain caves will be closed at certain times of the year, whether that's summer or winter. So just make sure that you're going to the cave at the appropriate time of year. The next thing to do is designate your call out. So you'll need to tell your call out when you expect to be out of the cave and back at the car or wherever you have cell phone service. So if you don't have cell phone service until you're back at the car or maybe on the road a little bit, make sure you take that timing into account when you select the time that you'll be out of the cave to tell your call out. Your call out should also have the name and location of the cave, the time entered into the cave, and the expected time of exit, first and last names and phone numbers of everyone on the trip, as well as information about all of the cars on the trip. So the night before and the day of, make sure you check the weather. Weather is very important to cave safely. The forecast can change often, and safe weather is not necessarily the same from cave to cave. So there may be caves that are perfectly fine when it rains, and there may be caves that will flood when it rains. So make sure you understand proper weather conditions for your cave. And then, of course, pack your gear. All right, one other thing to keep in mind is while you may enter the cave looking fresh and fabulous like this, you will most likely exit the cave looking something a little bit like this. So make sure that you pack the appropriate clothing to cave safely and comfortably, and that you also have packed clothes for the car and dinner on the way home so that you're safe and comfortable. Now that you're back at the car, the first thing to do is notify your call out that you're safe, and then you can pack up and head on to dinner. And once you're back at ORGT, just make sure that you clean your gear really well to keep it in tip-top shape for all of the people who use it after you. Thank you so much.